Hello, it's me, and got another interesting puzzle here. This is actually a viewer request. This is a super square one column puzzle, I guess is what it's called. And someone had asked me if I could maybe help them out with solving this thing. And when I first looked at it, it seemed like, well, it kind of looks like a combination of a super square one in that it has 4 layers, and possibly a square 2, in which case it only has corners or corner-like pieces to put in. Now, I'm always a little uncomfortable advising people on how to solve a puzzle that I don't have, because oftentimes there's things about the puzzle, nuances, strategies, techniques, pitfalls that you might run into that you couldn't really anticipate unless actually using it. So at first I thought, well, just solve it with like a corners only super square one, which works to a degree, but not all the way. So I figured I would get it and actually demonstrate it. So there's different types of solve states that I've seen. One is the way that I have it here, where you have 2 sets of one color on each column. This way they're set together. So I basically paired both of the colors and put them all the way down. I've got the orange on the top and red on the bottom. Now another way that I've seen it is where you have, say, the green here and then different colors all around. So green all the way down here, maybe yellow, orange down here, then yellow, then blue. That's another way that I've seen this solved. The reason why I did it this way is the particular viewer who made the request pointed me to a picture where this was the solved state. So in order to best advise on that, I'm going to use this as the solved state. But you could use the same technique either way. I do the pairing up, but even if you did straight on down, you're still going to have to pair 2 colors together. So you can probably solve them both the same way. Now, it is a cute little puzzle, but I gotta tell you, like the super square one, the movement is challenging. It's very smooth this way, and it's pretty good as you're turning it around like this as well. But as you're moving the different layers, sometimes the middle piece tends to get dragged along, which could be very annoying at times, especially, see right there, especially when you need to hold certain layers steady. Now, this is going to be solved cuboid strategy, or actually domino strategy, much like we did a 3x3x2, where there's going to be a correlation between 2 sets of pieces, the top and the bottom and the middle. So you could just take one super square one column and just have 2 sets, like over here. You'd solve these 2 together, so too you solve these 2 layers together and these 2 layers together. So what I'm going to do is go through a scramble of this. Now here's the good news. The good news is you only need one algorithm. The other bit of good news is that the algorithm is new, but it's kind of reminiscent of other algorithms, and it's pretty easy and intuitive to remember. The bad news is there is a step here which does require some positioning, and it's hard to explain exactly what's happening. So just like the 4x4 AI puzzle, I'm just going to describe what I'm doing as I'm doing it in hopes that it'll carry along. For those who are looking for an algorithm to get through every situation so they can solve it quickly, I don't have that to offer with this puzzle. I actually don't have that to offer with much puzzles. But what I can give you is the basic algorithms to move pieces around, the strategy that I use, and just sort of a guide as to how I do that. Before moving on, I'm going to just go ahead and give you that algorithm that we're talking about, just so that you can understand now where things are going to go. This is the only algorithm that you're going to need to know, and you can use it in a broad variety of situations, whether it's having everything here, the pairs here that you need to move around, or possibly before you get the pairs in order to line things up, it's just a way of moving pairs, even if they're not the same color pairs around, to put them in positions that you want. But basically, this will be there for a situation when you've got one layer and now you need to get the complementary layer. So you need to move these around without offsetting the complementary layer on the other side. In this case, the complementary layer of this one is this. The complementary layer of this one is this. So this is how to move this around without causing issues here. To define the movements, I'm going to define this as 2R. I could just say R, because really there's no such thing as an R here, but just for the sake of consistency, I guess, we'll call this a 2R. A U move is defined as a move that moves in the direction of U and only spans one set, one pair. So this is U over here. So if that's U, then this is UI. So if that's UI and that's U, then 2U would go all the way down over here. So this is 1, 2U. And also with this puzzle, I'm going to have to define a 2UI, which is just counterclockwise 1, 2 UI. There's also a 3U, but 3U and 3UI are pretty much going to be the same because that'll wind you all the way around. What this algorithm is going to do is it's going to take at the side of the fault line the pair just to the right, the pair just to the left, and the pair just above that. These will all stay exactly the same. Those won't change. But these guys are going to cycle around. This will come to here. By that I mean this pair will come to where this pair is. This pair will come here, and this will come here. So it's going to forge out a clockwise rotation. And here's what the algorithm is. So start off over here. Now remember to keep everything else pretty much constant. But you're going to go 2R, U, 2R, UI, and then DI, 2R, D, 2R. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing again, only we're going to separate the one from the second by doing one U. So we're just going to do a U, and now we're going to do the same thing again. Starting off with a 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, DI. See, that kind of dragged that here, but that's okay, we're almost done. And 2R. Okay, and now what we do is, after doing that, just kind of take stock in where you're at. Always do it in sets of 2. After you're done with that set of 2, move this back to where it's supposed to be. This is in, this is in, and this is in. But notice these guys did rotate around. What was the red one is now here. What was the white one is now here. What was the blue one is now here. So that's really all you need to know. Now there's another situation that can happen. So remember, you do the algorithm, and then you separate it with a U, and then you do it again, so you do it twice, and then you lift it back to where it is to see what you've got to do. You don't just jump right back into it, so I had to remember I had to turn that back here. Now if I wanted to turn it again, same thing. 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, DI, rather D, 2R. Now do a U and do it again. 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI. See, this whole thing got dragged. Still dragging it. To R, and then we do a DI to R. And now once we've done that, we have to move this back into position to take stock in what we've got. So these are all fine, and now one more of that algorithm should move this back. So here's a situation that you might run into where everything seems to be in, except these two. These two need to be flip-flopped. So this is what appears to be a parity situation where you've got to flip-flop these two. Parity because, well, you're not supposed to just do one swap. But in any case, if you get this, you're going to be what appears to be in trouble because this is in, and this is in, but you can't rotate these around. You're going to get caught into an inevitable trap. Well, the algorithm that I came up with to rotate these around has a little bit of a variation. The variation that I've come up with this particular puzzle is to go ahead and do exactly the same algorithm, but instead of doing it in a set of 2 and then stopping and reorienting before you do anything else, which will rotate these around. So you do, the set of 2 where you separate the first set with the second set with a U, and then bring it back so that you can do it again to keep rotating this around. What you're going to do is the same algorithm, but now 6 times. But keep going around. So separate each one with a U, and then just keep doing it 6 times. Instead of stopping at 2 and reorienting it, just keep going around until you do 6. It's a way of forging it all around. So what you want to do is you want to put the 2 that need to be flip-flopped on either side of the fault line in front of you. So this will be just to the left of the fault line up, and this will be to the right of the fault line up. And we're just going to do the same algorithm, but 6 times. So we start off with 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, DI, 2R. That's 1. then we do a U to separate it, and then we do it again. This is our second time. 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, DI, 2R. That was 2. And now we just keep going. We do another U. We don't stop this time. And do it again. 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, D, R. Then we just continue with the U and do it again. 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, DI, 2R. Okay, I think that was 4. And now we just do another set, do another U. This will be number 5. 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, UI, D, 2R, do a U, and finally 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, UI, 2R, and it will have flipped those two. And that's all you really need to know. Those are the algorithms that you need in order to solve it. So we can now proceed. So to get a good scramble, what I'm going to do first is just kind of separate these layers here, slice into my pairing, basically turn these around here, and off you go. So I'm going to continue scrambling it until we have something challenging. Abracadabra. Okay, so it is now scrambled in every way possible, even the tops and the bottoms. So what's the strategy? How are we going to get our way through this? Well, we're actually going to start off very much like we did with our Super Square 1. Actually with our Square 2, where, as you recall, it was all corners. And it's a matter of matching corners up. So I'm gonna start pairing things. And what I'm going to be doing is, if I see a red, I'm going to try to pair it with another red. I'm going to start off with the outermost layers just by way of demonstration, and then hit the innermost layers. So I'm going to start populating pairs for both top and bottom, and it doesn't really matter the order that I do. So for instance, here's a white. So to move a white one next to it, I'll move it from the bottom. Here's a white over here. Move it to the proper place on the fault line here, and just do a 2R. So by the way, those were used, 2Rs are here. 2R, and we're over here. I'm just going to move that out of the way, and I'm just going to keep populating things. So if I were to move this over here, now I'm going to put another green one in. Here's a couple of green ones to choose from. So this is done pretty intuitively, just by positioning. We have that over here. Move it twice here now. Move another white. We don't have another one here, but I can maybe do a blue. Here's a blue one here, so I just do a 2R. Now we've got blue. So as you can see, I've kind of populated this whole side over here. So I'm just going to use this top to start putting things in on the bottom. This is already in, so I don't want to destroy anything that I've already put in. So just move that off to the side. Do I have a red that I can put in? Well, here's a red over here, so let's move it off to the side again. I'm coordinating it with this red. 1, 2R, and there you go. Blue and yellow. I'm going to turn this over here. So now we're getting to a point where we don't want to start messing up some of these other sides here. So blue and yellow, let's see, there's one over here. Now let's see if we can move these in without messing up what we've done. So if I move this over here, this will have to be moved over here to match up with this, but I'm going to destroy this if I do that. So that's not really going to work that way. So I'm going to move this over here, back again, and see if I can't position this so it can accept it. Well, I can't put it here because it's going to destroy that. So it's looking like that's not going to be very successful. But while I'm in this position, this blue can coincide with this and not mess up anything here. So turn it over here, and there you got it. So I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing, pairing things. So here's a green here, two greens over here. Let's see if we can't pair this with a green from down here. We can here. Actually, we're going to have to do it like this, double turn, and there that is. Here. So you can see we have all the ones in on the bottom here. Now we just have to see what we can do over here. We got a pair here, pair here, pair here. We've got three whites, a yellow and a white, and a yellow one over here. So what we want to do is, if we can't easily get it in, we might have to do what's called a surrogate pair. Let's say we have a white and a yellow here, and then alternatively a white and a yellow here, say. Then we can move both at the bottom, and then as long as they're complementary, move them in with each other. I just have to find a way to make that work. So I can move this over here, separating this pair out and possibly this pair out, and decide which pair that I want. I like it when two of the colors are opposite each other, because I'm just going to work on the white and yellows and see what can line up. I've got this positioned over here, so I can double turn that. Now the problem with this is that orphans this. That's got no place to go. So I'm not sure if that's what I want to do. Now it's already orphaned here anyway. So maybe I can position this. So you can see it's dragging the center with it, which kind of throws you off a little bit. And then from here I can move this in so it's no longer orphaned. I got a set of 3 here, these 3, and I got a set of 2 here. So what am I going to do? Well, I kind of like the notion of having one on each side of the fault line, because then you can match it up with things that exist over here. But if I turn it like this, I've got these two that are kind of ready to accept one on each side. So if I turn it like this, I've got a yellow and white over here, and I can turn it like so, which pairs these up. I still have these over here, and I don't want to be in a position where I'm continually chasing my tail. Move this across here. Okay, maybe what I can do is move this over here. That puts these together and these together. Then I've got this. So now the trick is to find a way to make more yellow and white pairs. We'll just kind of move this out of the way for now. As long as I have a pair here, I can match a pair before and after the fault line and not cause anything to be messed up. But if I move it here, I'm going to have an orange and white at either side of the fault line. I can move this over here. So it kind of gives me that scenario. So I got a pair here and a pair here. And I've got these two. So what am I going to do about this? Well, I can split this down the center here and put this over here. Okay, here's the appealing thing about this. When I did this, when I separated that out, and every so often you just have to look and see something else that you might have gotten, but I've got a yellow and blue and a yellow and blue. So I basically have two complementary pieces here. Everything else is fine, but these two are complementary to each other. Looking at this, I've got a white and blue and a white and blue. So I managed to get it in that configuration, and actually if you can surround two orphan colors with one pair, then you can actually have complementary pairs. So basically what I have now is I have two complementary pairs here, and I'm going to put this over here, which splits this down the center, and I have two complementary pairs here. What I want to do now is flip them to the opposite sides so that I can then move them into configuration where I can split them down here. So in short, what I did is I took my orphan pairs and put them on either side of a pair here to give me two surrogate pairs. Both of these two are complementary to each other. Move it down here. And don't let this fool you. What I actually have is white and blue and white and blue. So in other words, if I were to move this here and move this here, don't worry about that pair, that's a separate pair. If I move this down here, like so, the two whites will be together and the two blues will be together. And that's kind of what I want. Now, when you look at this, the way that I have this configured, yeah, so actually if you notice, these are complementary pairs over here. I can turn it in, and these are fine. I just have these two, but I'm not going to want to move it in quite like that because I'm going to split these two. So there's a couple things that I can do at this point. What if I were to keep these two complementary pairs opposite each other? Then I took this yellow and blue, and this yellow and blue, put this yellow and blue here, and this yellow and blue here. What I then have is in one fell swoop solving both. So this gets into our first algorithm. What this algorithm is going to do, and I'm just going to move this to the side over here, and move this, that doesn't really matter, over here. What this algorithm is going to do, now picture, this is actually a pair over here. This is a pair, this is a pair, this, and this. So these two, even though they're of different colors, they're actually a pair. If you take a look at this fault line, what this is going to do is it's going to hold this pair exactly where it is. This pair is going to be exactly where it is, and this pair is going to be exactly where it is. So it's going to protect these pairs here, here, and here. Just to the left of the fault line, just to the right of the fault line, and then at right angles to the fault line on the right side. It's going to do that with these, if you can picture that. And then with these, it's going to cause these to permute around. This will come here, this will come here, and this will come here. So it'll do a clockwise rotation like this. 2R. And remember, this is a pair over here. So U, 2R. Then we're going to go UI. And then with the bottom one, we're going to go DI. And then 2R. Then we're going to go D, 2R. So we're just going to go U, and we fall right back into that same algorithm. 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, D, 2R. Okay, so you did it twice with a U in between. What that did, if you're to take a look at things, we'll move things back basically. So this is a pair, this is a pair. This was the pair that we were dealing with, and this was on this side. What it did is it took this yellow and blue and put it here. It was here, now it's here. This did not change at all, and none of these changed either. So what's going to happen now is I'm basically going to do it again. When I do it again, this will be the same, this will be the same, this will be the same. This green pair will be up here, this blue and yellow pair will be up here, and this red pair will be here, which will indeed place this just across from this guy over here, this over here. So we do it again. Now let's take a look at what we did. We'll just kind of move this back while this one gets dragged along, and you can see this white and blue and this blue and yellow are now across from each other, and that's exactly what I wanted. Let me try to get these. These don't really matter on these two. We haven't started doing this yet, but this one does. Okay. So we have these two that are out across from each other. Eventually we're going to move them like this and exchange them for what's down here. But now I got to do the same thing on this side. We'll get this back. And what I want to do is I want to get the white and blue just opposite the yellow and blue. So let's go over here. Now here's the white, here's the yellow and blue, here's the white and blue over here. This got all turned around, we might as well put this over here. And just to give you an idea of what I'm doing, or gonna do, move this around here. This white and blue is going to be complementary to this one. So when I turn it, ultimately, the whites will match up and the blues will match up. And ultimately, when I put the proper blue and yellow, that's going to be here, that'll match up with this. So let's keep this here. This has to come up to here. So how am I going to do that? Well, if I hold it here, actually, this will be protected, and this will be protected, and this will be protected. These three sets. So let's move it to where this is not protected. This has to make it to where this red one is. So let's move this here, and then here. I do that. This is protected, this is protected, this is protected, but this is not. This is actually going to rotate down to here. So one set of the algorithm will bring this down to here. This will come here, this will come here, and this will come here. So let's do it. 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, D, 2R. Then we do another U and do the algorithm again. 2R, U, 2R, UI, DI, 2R, DI, 2R. So, did it work? Yep. These two are opposite, these two are opposite, these two are opposite, and these two are opposite. So now all I have to do to get it back is one motion like this, and we got it. Paired, 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 paired. So that's the basic strategy. Now if you want to get this center back, we'll just move this like so. It doesn't really matter at this point. Move this like so, and bang. So we have this here. Now that we have all these pairs in, we're going to do the same thing, only with the middle layer. So we're going to start off exactly the same way. Now, we're not going to move these at all. These are going to be fine the way that they are, as long as it's positioned to where you have the pairs on either side of the fault line.